Today's reading is Ezekiel chapter 40. Chapter 40, Vision of the New Temple. In the 25th year of our exile, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was struck down, on that very day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me to the city. In visions of God, he brought me to the land of Israel, and set me down on a very high mountain, on which was a structure like a city to the south. When he brought me there, behold, there was a man whose appearance was like bronze, with a linen cord and measuring reed in his hand, and he was standing in the gateway. And the man said to me, Son of man, look with your eyes, and hear with your ears, and set your heart upon all that I shall show you. For you were brought here in order that I might show it to you, declare all that you see to the house of Israel. The east gate to the outer court. And behold, there is a wall all around the outside of the temple area, and the length of the measuring reed in the man's hand was 6 long cubits, each being a cubit and a handbreadth in length. So he measured the thickness of the wall, 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. Then he went into the gateway facing east, going up its steps, and measured the threshold of the gate, 1 reed deep, and the side rooms 1 reed long and 1 reed broad, and the space between the side rooms 5 cubits, and the threshold of the gate by the vestibule of the gate at the inner end 1 reed. Then he measured the vestibule of the gateway on the inside 1 reed. Then he measured the vestibule of the gateway 8 cubits, and its jambs 2 cubits, and the vestibule of the gate was at the inner end. And there was 3 side rooms on either side of the east gate. The 3 were of the same size, and the jambs on either side were of the same size. Then he measured the width of the opening of the gateway 10 cubits, and the length of the gateway 13 cubits. There is a barrier before the side rooms, 1 cubit on either side, and the 6 rooms were 6 cubits on every side. Then he measured the gate from the ceiling of the one side room to the ceiling of the other, a breadth of 25 cubits. The openings faced each other. He measured also the vestibule, 60 cubits, and around the vestibule of the gateway was the court, from the front of the gate at the entrance to the front of the inner gate, was 50 cubits. And all the gateway was 50 cubits all around, narrowing inwards towards the side rooms and towards their jambs. And likewise the vestibule had windows all around inside, and on the jambs were palm trees. The outer court. Then he brought me into the outer court, and behold, there were chambers and a pavement all around the court. 30 chambers faced the pavement, and the pavement ran along the side of the gates, corresponding to the length of the gates. This was the lower pavement. They measured the distance from the inner front of the lower gate to the outer front of the inner court, 100 cubits on the east side and on the north side. The north gate. As for the gate that faced toward the north, belonging to the outer court, he measured its length and its breadth. Its side rooms 3 on either side, and its jambs and its vestibule were of the same size as those of the first gate. Its length was 25 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits. And its windows, its vestibule, and its palm trees were of the same size as those of the gate that faced toward the east, and by 7 steps people would go up to it and find its vestibule before them. And opposite the gate of the north, as on the east, was the gate to the inner court, and he measured from gate to gate 100 cubits. The south gate. And he led me toward the north, and behold, there was a gate on the south, and he measured its jambs and its vestibule. They had the same size as the others. Both it and its vestibules had windows all around, like the windows of the others. Its width was 25 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits. And there were 7 steps leading up to it, and its vestibule was before them, and it had palm trees on its jambs, 1 on either side, and there was a gate on the south of the inner court. And he measured from gate to gate toward the south, 100 cubits. The inner court. Then he brought me to the inner court through the south gate, and he measured the south gate. It was of the same size as the others. Its side rooms, its jambs, and its vestibule were of the same size as the others, and both it and its vestibule had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits. And there were vestibules all around, 25 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. Its vestibule faced the outer court, and palm trees were on its jambs, and its stairway had 8 steps. Then he brought me to the inner court on the east side, and he measured the gate. It was of the same size as the others. Its side rooms, its jambs, and its vestibule were of the same size as the others, and both it and its vestibule had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits. Its vestibule faced the outer court, and it had palm trees on its jambs, on either side, and its stairway had 8 steps. Then he brought me to the north gate, and he measured it. It had the same size as the others. Its side rooms, its jambs, and its vestibule were of the same size as the others, and it had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits, and its breadth 25 cubits. Its vestibule faced the outer court, and it had palm trees on its jambs on either side, and its stairway had 8 steps. There the chamber with its door in the vestibule of the gate, where the burnt offering was to be washed, and in the vestibule was the gate, were 2 tables on either side, on which the burnt offering and the sin offering and guilt offering were to be slaughtered. And off to the side, on the outside as one goes up to the entrance of the north gate, were 2 tables, and off to the other side of the vestibule of the gate were 2 tables. 4 tables were on either side of the gate, 8 tables on which to slaughter, and there were 4 tables of hewn stone for the burnt offering, a cubit and a half long, and a cubit and a half broad, and 1 cubit high, on which the instruments were to be laid, for which the burnt offerings and the sacrifices were slaughtered. And hooks a handbreadth long were fastened all around within, and on the tables the flesh of the offering was to be laid. Chambers for the priests. On the outside of the inner gateway there were 2 chambers in the inner court, one at the side of the north gate facing south, and other at the side of the south gate facing north. And he said to me, This chamber that faces south is for the priests to have charge of the temple, and the chamber that faces north is for the priests. That faces north is for the priests that are the charge of the altar. These are the sons of Zadok, who alone among the sons of Levi may come near to the Lord to minister to him. And he measured the court 100 cubits long and 100 cubits broad, a square, and the altar was in front of the temple. The vestibule of the temple. Then he brought me to the vestibule of the temple, and measured the jambs of the vestibule, 5 cubits on either side, and the breadth of the gate was 14 cubits, and the side walls of the gate were 3 cubits on either side. The length of the vestibule were 20 cubits, and the breadth 12 cubits, and people would go up to it by 10 steps. And there were pillars beside the jambs, 1 on either side. This is the word of the Lord. Amen.